New announcement from Awaken Realms this week. They announced all their new board games for the year. And while I'm not interested in most of their original IP, I thought Nemesis was just so-so. I was interested in the fact that they're doing reprints of several Euro games, along with Ravensburger and Alea. They had previously done this with Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. I have that. I enjoy the game. I haven't brought it out that many times. I think I brought it out 2 or 3. But it's a great, beautiful version of a classic game. The acrylic tiles are awesome, but the insert is horrific. And so I don't know if the reprint of that, which they announced, is going to do any work to fix the insert. But it's really weird, because when I saw that the insert for the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition was so bad, my first thought was, oh, well, the reason it's so bad is that they are making this game for retail. They want the base version to be available for retail for what, like $100-120, and then sell it through their proxies, either through Asmodee in the US, where I think they sell a lot of Awaken Realms products, or they're just gonna, sell it to game stores directly, as they typically can or do. And apparently that either isn't the case or isn't their main focus, because they're again doing a reprint of the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. A lot of people are going to go in for those special tiles or for the 3D tiles. I didn't get the 3D tiles. I had just finished painting Foundations of Rome and was not ready for another big project. But I mean, I thought that for what they were interesting. It's really cosmetic, because again, you might have this beautiful thing to look at the end, but it kind of takes away from the gameplay element of it, which is focusing on actually building out your duchy in Castles of Burgundy. Well, anyway, that reprint's coming. I'm excited for it, for the people who didn't get it. I'm considering the 3D piles, but I'm probably not going to be participating in it, but glad it exists as an option. The other announcement was for Puerto Rico Special Edition, with the Puerto Rico, I think it's 1897 tagline on it. Now, Puerto Rico's an interesting one. It was #1 on Board Game Geek for a long time, and it was controversial because the colonists that you're supposedly bringing over, the brown cubes, implied slavery, in that you had a bunch of slaves working your plantation. May have been historically accurate. People didn't like it, and I understand it. I'm not here to rag on, maybe the Euro theme didn't quite hold the way it should have. But Puerto Rico itself, pretty well loved game. I played it once myself. As the newbie at the table, everyone was vying for trying to get next to me, because apparently you can have a huge advantage if you're playing against a newbie in Puerto Rico. But I appreciated that the game design was... At the time, I was like, this isn't going to be my favorite game, I don't think, but, I understood what they were going for. I like the same mechanism of the action selection with secondary actions as applied to games like Twilight Imperium, which I very much enjoy. But by itself, I mean, I thought Puerto Rico was fine. I think I probably would like to revisit the original game. Puerto Rico 1897 was a announcement a few years ago that they were going to make a new version of the game and set it a few years later and have the colonists have... Basically, there's no slavery and the colonists are in control. It felt a little bit, not preachy, again, you can do what you want with it. Okay, we're making a new version and we're getting rid of all the colonialism elements. Okay, it's not like Puerto Rico's necessarily thrived even in the last 200 years, or in the last 150 years since slavery was gone, but okay, that's fine. You're trying to make a version that's a little bit more accommodating so that people don't have to say, I don't want to play this game because there's slavery in it. Great, totally fine. But they may have focused a little too much on inclusivity and not enough on the gameplay and the rulebook itself. The rulebook, according to all reports, is completely unusable. There were pieces misprinted. I'm not sure. I mean, at one point they were taking off any versions they had off the shelves. I didn't even hear about when it was available for repurchase. Like, that was how bad it was, that there was no big announcement of, hey, it's available, the game is now playable. For as far as I know, I mean, it was a complete dud. And that's unfortunate, because again, a good game, a well-regarded game, 44 on Board Game Geek right now, 100, first on Board Game Geek for a long time. So with all of that being said, they are now doing a special edition through Gamefound. Now, there's not a lot of information known. It's going to be a Q3, I think they said Q3 campaign. I, for one, I'm intrigued. I probably won't back. Again, it was not my favorite play when I got it. I don't know that many people who have it right now to be able to try it. Not that I'm sure I could poll my friends and try to find somebody who has it, but I'm very intrigued that they are doing this, especially on the heels of such a poor production for the base game. This to me feels like an attempt to go after the audience of people who were excited about it, but got the terrible reprint that was unplayable, and really are like, okay, now I'm going in for a legacy, a really nice updated version of a game I really want. Again, they need to make sure things like the UI, like the rule book, all of those are clear, legible, and I think they know this. I mean, this is a big part of why they're doing something through Gamefound. I'm wondering how much pushback they're going to get from people who they would only have like a year or less. I mean, I think it was SN 2022 when the new version was started to be available, and then, it wasn't even playable until about 6 months later, or you had to like print off tiles online or something like that, or print off different rules. I'm not 100% sure because, again, I wasn't that interested in playing it. Nobody I knew had it, but I'm intrigued. I'm very much intrigued. I think it will be a good campaign. Will it break 1 million? That depends on the price of the game itself. I think it'll probably break 1 million. I don't think we're looking at more than 1.5 for that Gamefound campaign. Obviously, these are just my first impressions and guesses. I'm no expert in this field. But, Castles of Burgundy, I think Castles of Burgundy pulled in, I can't remember. That's one you're going to have to go check yourself. I don't know if Gamefound updates lists with the Pledge Manager totals for every project. I know that the creators can choose to, whether it's the first backing or whether it's the subsequent backings or not. But it's an interesting concept, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this project is received. I like the idea that Alea and Ravensburger are putting out nice versions of their game through crowdfunding as an option for those of us who really like our Euros to look beautiful, are willing to put a little bit more money into said beautiful Euros, but aren't necessarily, they wouldn't necessarily have a retail presence. I really hope that with this version, as well as with Castles of Burgundy's reprint, that they focus on the fact that people want the reprint with the nice components. Make your insert able to hold the nice components. You already accommodate sleeving most of the time because people really want cards and games that are sleeved really well. You need to have it accommodate your deluxe components. If that means that the regular components are a little bit loose in the tray, I think that's probably the better way to go. Or create 2 trays. Whenever you sell the acrylic pieces, if you're selling them in a separate thing, make sure the tray that it goes in is compatible and can be removed with the tray from the box that has the regular components, and just have, more space versus less space. I don't think that should be that hard. Granted, I don't know the logistics of all of that. I think a lot of board games have a lot of great ideas and planning, and then they get to the production stage and everything is being printed and everything's being made, and suddenly they realize, oh no, we're a few microns off on our insert, or we're a few whatever, we're off a little bit on something on the production. It's too late. We're just going to tell our clients this is what it is. We're going to grin and bear it. It can ruin a great game when your production is bad. And I wouldn't be upset about that for the projects that are, straight to retail, because they don't have the chances to do, they're putting all the money up front, they're taking all the risk. For a project that's crowdfunding, you've got the money in advance. You need to have a really good pre-production copy and have tested it and have all of that done. So that's my hope for this one. Anyway, those are my first impressions on the Euro games, Castles of Burgundy reprint and Puerto Rico 1897 special edition that have been announced in Gamefound. Look for those later this year.